the pinnacle of the National Football League. It all began with Lombardi's Green Bay Packers winning the first 2 Super Bowls. It moved through the upset of Joe Namath's Jets, through the brilliance of the 4-time champion Pittsburgh Steelers, on through the next 4-time champs, the San Francisco 49ers, each Super Bowl providing us with lasting images. Today, in the Silver Anniversary Super Bowl, it's New York, New York, as Bill Parcells' Giants look for their second ring, armed with their special veterans like Lawrence Taylor, a herd of new Giant veterans who have kicked in important roles, and new thoroughbreds like the Hawks. The new kids on the Super Bowl block are the Buffalo Bills, charging in from the cold of Western New York. They are Kelly's heroes, operating a ferocious offense that lacks only a huddle and possesses football's best all-purpose back in Thurman Thomas. On defense, nobody has stood taller than Bruce Smith. The Bills won last month's meeting with the Giants. Who holds the key this time? We'll find out on Superbowl GameDay. You're looking at Tampa Stadium, the place we like to call the Big Sombrero, the site of Super Bowl 25 between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants. You're looking at downtown Tampa from our perch on Harbor Island. And we've been all here all week, bringing you Sports Center, and today, for the next 90 minutes, your friends, our friends, namely us, will bring you ESPN's NFL GameDay. I know those guys. Hi, once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and welcome to Harbor Island here in Tampa, Florida. For the next 90 minutes, we'll get you set for the Super Bowl, where New Yorkers will either sing a rendition of Frank Sinatra's New York, New York in honor of the Giants, or they'll belt out Foghat's Fool for the City and go with the smaller town Buffalo Bills. Joining us, as always, Tom Jackson, Joe Theismann, Fred Edelstein, Dan Patrick will be by shortly. Andrea Kramer is up at the stadium. A guest shot from Dick Schaap. Our good friend Preet Axthelm still not feeling well this week. He's not been with us. We know, Ax, we'll see you very soon. It's not the same without you here at the Super Bowl, and we look forward to seeing you. So, the game at Tampa Stadium doesn't begin for a tad over 6 hours, 6:18 local time to be exact. The latest local kickoff in the 25-year history of the Super Bowl. Both teams had crisp workouts this week, as you might expect, because of the lack of a normal off week between the title games and this one. In fact, it's only the 3rd time that's ever happened in the 25-year history of the Super Bowl. Happened before Super Bowl IV when the Chiefs beat the Minnesota Vikings. Happened before Super Bowl XVII when some guy named Theismann led the Redskins over the Miami Dolphins. The weather has been cool here this week for the most part. Forecast for the game, cloudy, 30% chance of showers or thunderstorms. Game time temperature estimated to be 66 degrees, but it doesn't feel like it's going to get that way right now. So actually very good football weather. The biggest news for the week concerning the teams this week, Buffalo coach Marv Levy's missing a photo day to better prepare his game plan. That doesn't exactly register very high on the Richter scale. The biggest news overall, obviously, the continued war in the Middle East and its effects here. The game will be played as scheduled, but under very tight security. Let's head out now to Andrea Kramer, who had a bird's eye view early this morning of the security at Tampa Stadium. Andrea?
Can you tell Leo that Andrea's hearing nothing?
As you can see, we are outside of the stadium now. Usually on game day, we are reporting from inside the stadium, but this is one of the byproducts of the increased security. Right now, the only people inside are the game operations staff and ABC Sports preparing for the telecast. Now, this was the scene when we arrived this morning at about 9 a.m. Every vehicle within 200 feet of the stadium is completely searched. They look through our equipment, they look through every single bag that we have, and even when the mayor arrives, her car will be searched in the same exact way. There's a feeling of cooperation and patience between everybody involved with these security measures. There are really very few surprises. It's been so well publicized. So the game plan for Super Bowl 25 is not just limited to the X's and O's drawn up by the Bills and the Giants. There will be a large, well-rehearsed team in place at Tampa Stadium, and it isn't just the Bills or the Giants, but rather the security forces designed to safeguard the Super Bowl event while trying not to convey undue alarm to fans or turn the stadium into an armed camp. All week long, there has been a 6-foot-high chain-link fence around the stadium, as well as concrete traffic barriers. Today, there will be over 500 law enforcement officers with total security personnel in excess of 2,000.
Players, be prepared to take out
have any keys, change, any other metal things that you might have in your pockets. We are using metal detectors.
More than 100 metal detectors will be used to frisk fans at each of the stadium's 68 entrances. And while the skies could be cloudy by game time, they will be clear of blimps and most air traffic, as the FAA granted restrictions of a half-mile radius and up to 5,000 feet from noon to midnight. But there's more to the security business than what meets the eye.
We've made some additional changes just today and some new security measures. They're covert as opposed to overt. In other words, you won't see them and the public won't see them, but there are some additional measures that have been taken as late as this morning. So things are continuing to change as we see maybe a weak point here, or maybe just something that was overlooked earlier. We're still making changes. You know, there might be even measures that aren't even taking place at the stadium. They could be occurring somewhere else.
Somewhere away from the stadium will be stationed the FBI anti-terrorist SWAT team, which had a special training session in the Tampa area last week to prepare for what officials term any eventuality. While this unit is usually in place at a Super Bowl, also available is a Black Hawk helicopter on loan from the U.S. Customs Service, which, ironically, is the same one used by the U.S. Army in Saudi Arabia. It's very maneuverable and able to travel at speeds up to 200 miles per hour, and it could combat a potential invasion of the cleared airspace over the stadium. It was one thing when Joe Theismann set off the metal detectors on Media Day with a piece of metal in his leg, but Jeff Hostetler's mother has a piece of metal in her back, so she's going to need a special escort just to get into the stadium. One other note, at all these events you always see the security people wearing the bright yellow jackets to identify themselves. Well, they have been issued jackets of a different color because there were some concerns that fake jackets were out there. And Chris, they are taking, as you can understand, every imaginable precaution today. This Super Bowl is setting a new standard for security.
All right, Andrea, thank you. I think everybody knows the score, though, as you pointed out, going in the stadium, and hopefully fans will be orderly, and we'll see a little bit later on in game day from Tampa Stadium. If something were to happen here in Tampa and the game had to be postponed, it would be played next Sunday. That's the latest from the league. They looked at tomorrow night, but that won't happen. If something did happen, it would be played next Sunday. Joe, you know, one thing we all noticed this week, it seems like there's a lot of media here, but for one, that it certainly seemed less than in the other 9 Super Bowls that I covered, and you noticed the mood swing, too.
Absolutely, Chris. I think the mood here has been very subdued, to describe it as best as possibly can be done. You have to take a look at this football game, not as a Super Bowl event, but as a big away game for each of these football teams. They traveled on Monday. They had Tuesday off, which is a normal work week. They've had 3 days of preparation. But right now, about 6 hours before kickoff, I can tell you those butterflies are starting to grow very large.
Yes, they are. But you're right, the mood has been different this week. But everybody feels that we have a shot to have a nice, crisp ball game between the team with the highest scoring offense, the Buffalo Bills, and the team with the lowest scoring allowed defense, the New York Giants. Giants, of course, are 1-for-1 in Super Bowls, having won it in 1986. That's part of a 6-game winning streak for the NFC in Super Bowls, which actually heading into Super Bowl 25, it's NFC 12, AFC 12. The Bills have never been here before, are trying to become the first AFC team to win it since the Raiders did right here in Tampa at Tampa Stadium 7 years ago over Washington. In fact, for the good karma theory of the week, the Bills are staying in the same hotel that the Raiders stayed in when they won the game at the end of the '83 season. But let's make it clear, Tommy, even though a lot of the Giants have Super Bowl rings from 4 years ago, more than half of the team is new. They've been rebuilt, and they've been rebuilt in Bill Parcells' ways, adding veterans, right?
The Bill way. You know, one of the keys to coaching success is the ability to recognize talent. Bill Parcells has taken that one step further. He recognizes talent that's supposedly used up.
They came from many varied locations, places where they were established players. Phoenix, Chicago, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and 2 from Dallas. For one reason or another, they were phased out by their previous teams and sent packing to New York. There, Bill Parcells was waiting with open arms. He took this seasoned group of cast-offs and retooled a very good team into conference champions.
Well, first I'm looking for a guy that can play some role that I feel I need. And then I'm looking for, if I can find out, which I can't always find out, you know, what kind of guy is this guy?
We call ourselves the old Raiders in a sense that, you know, Al Davis used to get a lot of rejects and they won, and Bill does the same thing. You know, he gets players in, but he not only gets good players, he gets good people.
And like the Raiders, the Giants are a team of character and fortitude. These traits were never more evident than last Sunday in San Francisco when Otis Anderson made the tough yards and Matt Barr calmly and coolly kicked the Giants back into the Super Bowl.
I think with all of us, it's just you're given an opportunity to play. You're given another chance in your career, and you want to make the best of it.
You laugh at the Cardinals now?
Do I laugh at the Cardinals, or do I roll on the ground and flip over and just kiss the ground and say, God, thank you very much for the beginning, but love you so much for the ending? Sure, and I don't laugh at the Cardinals per se, but you know, you gotta look at it and say, Gene Stallings, bad as I thought you were, and you know, you knew what you were doing.
Their careers have been given a second chance. To a man, they feel like they have something to prove to those who cast them aside. Only Matt Barr, Dave Duerson, and Otis Anderson have been to the Super Bowl. For Everson Walls, Steve DiOssi, and Johnny Cooks, it's been a long time coming.
You know, this is a dream come true. You know, I want to thank Mr. Irsay and Jimmy and Ron Myers for sending me here.
I guess the best revenge is simply ending up in the World Championship game. And, you know, things have gone extremely well for me this year. And actually, it's the most fun I've had in my career.
When you got a guy like myself who's always trying to buck the odds, you know, I'm always looking forward to proving them wrong, and I'm not the only one. I mean, those guys are on the same boat that I'm in. For them to think that myself and Walls weren't good enough to play for their organization, then to come here and contribute so much to a team going to the Super Bowl, and it makes you feel good about it. It confirms what you might have believed all along.
The great motivator for any player who's been let go by a ball club is not only to play well, but to play well in big games. Today, the ultimate proving ground for the Giants castoffs.
We have plenty to come in this next 90 minutes. We're so excited, we can't wait to tell you about it. The relationship between Bill Parcells and LT. How do you stop the Bills' no-huddle offense? Thurman Thomas, the best all-purpose back in the National Football League. Magic moments through the years in Super Bowl history, including when we return the coach who won the first two, Vince Lombardi. But first, for the Giants, it began back in July at the Madison, New Jersey campus of Fairleigh Dickinson. They won all 4 preseason games and their first 10 regular season games. Let's just say that the Giants came out of the gates on a roll. The initial Giant step came on the opening Sunday night of the season. When at home, a pair of Phil Simms TD passes sandwiched around a scintillating punt return by Dave Meggett helped beat back an old nemesis, Buddy Ryan's Eagles 27-20. Week 6 in Washington, the Giants' overlooked passing game was big. Phil Simms to Mark Bavaro and Maurice Carthon on big gainers to set up scores. Giants win 24-20. 2 weeks later, the rematch. It was defense that put away the Skins. They amassed only 213 yards. Everson Walls had a pair of picks, including his first ever touchdown. 21-10 New York. The Giants were 7-0 and basically clinched the NFC East even in October.
The 2 Washington Redskins ball games, I think 2 in 3 weeks, and we walked away from those in real good fashion. That really put a gap between us and the other teams in our division.
The undefeated dream ended after 10 straight wins. Randall Cunningham and the Eagles flew high, 31-13 in Philadelphia in Week 12. Week 13, also unlucky for the Giants. The most-watched Monday night game in history between the 10-1 Giants and Niners became the season's lowest-scoring game, 7-3 San Francisco. The Giants' defense allowed a mere 240 yards, but they lost after 4 passes into the end zone from the 9 were incomplete, and Simms was sacked on the final play of the game. Week 15, Giants lost again, this time to the Bills 17-13. Simms was lost for the season with a foot injury. But since then, Jeff Hostetler, his starter, has gone 4-0, including a pair in the playoffs. First, 31-3 over the Bears. The Hoss with a pair of scores and 43 yards rushing. Defense made 2 marvelous goal line stands. The Bears had no first downs rushing. Title game, again defense. It shackled the high-flying 49ers, allowing only a touchdown again. 3 proud veterans came to the forefront. Leonard Marshall knocked Montana from the game. LT snared Roger Craig's fumble. Matt Barr kicked his 5th field goal at the gun. A seeing-eye 42-yarder. The Giants were going to Tampa. Bring on the Bills.
If after test driving a Sterling, you find another car with all of its standard features and appointments for $28,500 or less, we'll do more than congratulate you. We'll buy it for you.
The Mona Lisa has no eyebrows. Venus de Milo lacks arms. Chickens have no lips. Why ask why? Try Bud Dry. It's cold filtered for smooth draft taste and dry brewed for no aftertaste. So when it comes to refreshment, nothing's missing.
If you could reach into your TV, take the picture, and put it anywhere you want, you would discover the miracle of liquid crystal entertainment. The miracle of Sharp Vision. Sharp Vision's flat picture can be any size to fit any wall in any size room. Enjoy the crystal clear picture from any angle, and Sharp Vision disappears when not in use. Liquid Crystal Sharp Vision. Big screen entertainment designed for your home.
There's a new kind of cowboy out there. And that's why McDonald's is grilling up a whole new kind of steak, topped with onions, mushrooms, and a hearty steak sauce on a sourdough roll with a side of fries. And right now, it's a great McDonald's value you can't pass up. McDonald's new grilled steak sandwich. A new kind of steak for a new kind of cowboy.
NFL Game Day Super Bowl Special is brought to you by Sterling Motor Cars. See your Sterling dealer about 0% APR financing or leasing with no charge. Maintenance included. By Bud Dry. Why ask why? Try Bud Dry. For refreshment that's beyond question. And by Sharp Electronics. From sharp minds come sharp products.
Welcome back here to Game Day in Tampa, the silver anniversary Super Bowl. It's a far cry from the first game played at the Los Angeles Coliseum, a game between two leagues rather than a game between two conferences. It didn't sell out, for one. Dick Schaap joins us now from Tampa Stadium. And Dick, it wasn't known as the Super Bowl then, although as you pointed out to me earlier in the week, somebody tried to call it the Super Bowl, just nobody was buying it, right?
Well, people called it the Super Bowl, but it didn't have that fancy Roman numeral. It wasn't the Super Bowl production that it is now.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody's grabbing out there. Nobody's tackling. Just grabbing, everybody. Grab. Nobody tackling.
They hated him at first, the Green Bay Packers he inherited, and they feared him. They couldn't understand why he drove them so hard, why he demanded so much of them. He was a tyrant, and he was so much more.
He was an intellect, he was a philosopher, he was a teacher, he was a football coach, and for many of us, he was a friend.
Fordham graduate, a member of Fordham's legendary line, the 7 Blocks of Granite, an assistant coach at West Point, and later with the New York Giants. Vince Lombardi was always a teacher, a consummate teacher.
If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here and try to run this play in the alley.
He taught basics. He taught execution. His offense wasn't complicated. Its symbol was the power sweep, the pulling guards clearing the way for the running backs. Nothing fancy, just devastating. He was a psychologist. He treated us all the same, like dogs, one of his players, the late Henry Jordan, once said. And it was a very funny line, but it wasn't truthful. In truth, Lombardi treated them all differently. He whipped the ones who responded to whipping. He stroked the ones who responded to stroking. He got rid of the ones who responded to neither. He made the survivors into better football players than they dreamed they could be. 12 of the Packers he inherited, 12 of the players who won 1 game, tied 1, and lost 10 the year before he took over, eventually played in the Pro Bowl. 5 of them, Starr, Horning, Taylor, Nitschke, and Gregg, wound up in the Hall of Fame. They didn't have any idea they were that good until Lombardi showed them they were.
I want you to be proud of your profession. It's a great profession. You be proud of this game, and you can do a great deal for football today. Great deal for all the players in the league and everything else. Go out there and play this ball game like I know you can play it.
He had the human element, he had the strategy, and he could just really reach inside of you and challenge you to give it all. That was, I felt, a unique ability.
He took the unsung and the unknown, and he made them famous, made them stars, made them winners. And he performed an even greater miracle. He made them love him. When Vince Lombardi died too young of cancer more than 20 years ago, less than 4 years after the first Super Bowl, his players helped carry his casket. They lifted him just as he had lifted them.
Several years later, one of his players, Jerry Kramer, asked one of the others, Herb Adderley, whether he thought of Lombardi often. And Adderley responded, "I think of him every day. And I love my father, who is also deceased, but I don't think of my father every day." Chris?
All right, Dick, thank you. Thanks for joining us here on Game Day. Vince Lombardi, a name certainly always spoken with reverence, which is really a reason why you can't really think of saying the word Vince Lombardi without the late John Facenda's Vince Lombardi. When we return, we're a full 90 minutes here on Game Day. We will look back at all the Super Bowls. We'll give you the keys to both teams winning today and visits with today's main men, like Jim Kelly, like Lawrence Taylor. First, for the Buffalo Bills, it began in July at Fredonia College in Western New York. The Bills actually went 0-4 this preseason, which gives us this interesting note. They are only the second team from 1980 to 1990. 18 teams went 0-4 in the preseason. They're only the second team to make it to the playoffs. The first team, the 1982 Redskins, who ended up winning the Super Bowl in a Super Bowl that did not have an off week. Maybe that's a good omen for the Bills and for you Rod Serling fans. It's the Twilight Zone. So, unlike the Giants, the Bills began slowly. The Bills' march to Super Bowl 25 actually began on a downer. Week 2, they were embarrassed 30-7 at Miami. It was either another season of the bickering Bills or time for a wake-up call.
Hey, we got our butts whipped, but we're too good of a football team to let something like that happen to us. We have to do the things that we're able and capable of doing, and that's what really got us back on the winning track.
Their next 2 home games, wildness. Week 4 against Denver. Nate Odoms blocks the field goal. It turns into a Cornelius Bennett touchdown. Leonard Smith, an interception return for a touchdown. Bennett recovers a fumble, leads to a touchdown. 20 points in a minute 17, 29-28 Bills. Then, week 5 on Nitro against the Raiders, down 10 in the 4th. Steve Tasker blocks a punt. J.D. Williams scoops it up for the score. Later, it's Odoms who strips Willie Gault to the football. He scampers in for the TD, 38-24 Bills. Week 13, home against the Eagles. No huddle here to stay. The Bills race to a 24-0 first quarter lead. Second play of the game, Jim Kelly to James Lofton, touchdown. Then it was Kelly to Andre Reed, touchdown. The Eagles mounted an impressive comeback, but Buffalo held on for an important 30-23 win. Week 15 at the Meadowlands, Kelly left with a knee injury in the second quarter. It was the defense that had to rise. It did so, allowing only a second-half field goal, 17-13 Buffalo. Week 16 in a frenzied Rich Stadium. The Bills clinched home field advantage to the playoffs as Frank Lloyd Wright was the architect of a 24-14 win over Miami. He threw 2 touchdowns, watched as Thurman Thomas ran for 154 yards in a score, and when the gun went off, the goalposts were gone. 3 weeks later, goalposts back, Dolphins back. Oh, baby, Jim Kelly was back in the playoffs. The highest scoring non-overtime playoff game in NFL history. Bills beat the Dolphins 44-34. Kelly had 3 touchdowns, 339 yards. Lofton, Reed, and Thomas 100-yard days. In the title game, the Bills devastated the Raiders 51-3, a game that was really over just 12 minutes in when Darryl Talley's interception made it 21-3. The offense could do no wrong. 300 yards passing by Kelly. Thomas had a combined 199 yards. Bring on the Giants.
The kick is up. It's long enough. It's good! Kids, grown-ups, now enjoy the great outdoors or winter sports while wearing your favorite NFL team's Game Face. The Game Face is an officially licensed product of the NFL and is manufactured in North America, and we've got them. 19 colorful Game Faces, all machine washable and one size fits all. So whether you're rooting for the Bills, Giants, Bears, 49ers, or just plain shoveling snow, Wear a game face to keep you cozy and warm. Get your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-268-0087 or send check or money order for $16.95 plus $4 for shipping and handling to Howell Marketing, 117 West Chippewa Street, Buffalo, New York, 14202. Or call toll-free 1-800-268-0087.
February 3rd, football's finest gather for the AFC NFC Pro Bowl to determine conference supremacy. It's the grand finale of the NFL season, live February 3rd on ESPN Sunday Night NFL.
Welcome back to Tampa for NFL Game Day. Buffalo's Thurman Thomas has played 3 marvelous years for the Bills in the NFL, making the Pro Bowl the last 2. He was sort of a known before his NFL days for his success at Oklahoma State. But we here at ESPN, and those of you who watch our annual draft coverage, got to know Thurman very well back in April 1988. That was also a day on which we learned that the Bills do their homework.
This will be the 14th selection.
Running back, UCLA, Gaston Reed.
John Stevens, running back, Northwest Louisiana State.
We're standing by. Hey, Thurman Thomas might be drafted shortly. We'll see. Lorenzo White, after Cleveland announced their selection, Houston actually picking 22nd.
Chicago Bears first-round selection, Brad Muster, running back, Stanford.
There's Thurman. He's realizing that sooner or later someone has to take a back of his quality.
New Orleans Saints select Craig Hayward, running back, Pittsburgh.
All told, 7 running backs were picked before Thurman Thomas. The 5 in the first round, Green, Stevens, White, Muster, and Ironhead, and Ickey Woods and Tony Jeffrey in the early second round. Finally, the Bills, who had no first-round selection, tabbed Thomas. How do you spell relief?
It was a relief. I've been sitting around here waiting a long time. I expected to go earlier. But Buffalo is a nice place. It's a football team that's on the rise. They had a good year last year, and with Jim Kelly there and Cornelius Bennett and all the rest of the guys, I'm sure it'll be a team of the future.
Mr. Wilson said, well, what do you think? And Marv and I said, this is by far and away the best player left on the board. There's no question about it. We think he'll be a big success. There is, however, a gamble because the doctor, while he'll pass the knee, isn't sure. Mr. Wilson said, well, life's a gamble. Go ahead. If you feel that strongly about it, take him. And he's now Thermal Thomas.
He's thermal, all right, as in warm, as in red hot. All he's done the last 2 years is lead the NFL in total yards from scrimmage. Over 1,900 last season, over 1,800 this season. In fact, if you add up the yardage gained by the 7 players drafted ahead of him in 1988 and compare it to Thomas, you'll find that his 3-year total of over 4,800 yards is close to half that of everyone else combined.
Got so many good runners in the National Football League that really no one really knows who's the best runner is. But I would like to be the best all-around back in the National Football League.
Thurman, in addition to Kelly, is the trigger guy. Thurman, runs the ball 30 times a ball game. He's the one-back guy. Outstanding pass receiver. Runs great routes. So I think maybe in this, I think I use the analogy with baseball. Maybe we have to be strong down the middle. Kent Hall, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas.
It's no coincidence that Thomas's biggest games have been the Bills' biggest games. 13 catches, playoff record last year against Cleveland. 154 yards rushing against Miami in December. 199 total yards against the Raiders last week. In crunch time, get him the ball.
I like running the ball, especially in the fourth quarter. I think all running backs will say the same thing. When the fourth quarter comes, they want the ball in their hands, and that's the way I condition myself.
The opening game of the season, we came on the field, and we got in the huddle, and Thurman said, we're going to Tampa. And I kind of, want to say, be quiet, don't jinx us.
He's confident. Yeah, he is. He's a bright guy, extremely bright. He understands the game. He understands what he can do. He understands what defenses are doing. And he's meant a great deal to our football team.
If anything were to come up about trade rumors or anything like that, trading me, I would tell Buffalo, hey, I don't want to go anywhere, because you're the team that took a chance on me, and you're the team I want to finish my career with.
You remember his draft day for sure. Not only can he run, not only can he catch, he can throw. He was 6 for 6 with 6 touchdowns at Oklahoma State. Maybe he throws a pass today. Remember a couple years ago, his rookie year, was Thurman Thomas left, Thurman Thomas right. It was a boring Bills offense. But, Joe, I believe that without knowing that they had a bread and butter back. None of this no huddle, none of this helter-skelter offense can happen. He really is the glue.
I agree with you, Chris, and I think the one thing that Thurman brings to this game is the total back. He plays all three downs. There are very few in the league today that do that. Has a lot of versatility. But one of the things not physical about him, remember last year when Jim Kelly was spouting off about what was wrong with the offense? Thurman Thomas stood up and said, wait a second, Jim, take a look at yourself. He's one of the guys that stood up not only with leadership but with character.
Joe, another thing he brings to the game is great vision. Whenever you talk to a great running back, they say, not only do I see at the line of scrimmage, the D-line, the linebackers, they see all the way to the safeties. And I think when you see Thurman Thomas make the great break 10, 15 yards downfield, it's not because he saw it at the last second. It's because he saw it when he broke the line of scrimmage.
You know, we have vision here. We can see game day for another 60 minutes. We're on for 90 minutes today, and when we return, Super Bowl game wonders. Today's key matchups, Bill Parcells and LT. Even Fred Edelstein will join us. We'll be back.
Today, more people than ever are getting a kick out of this hot shot. Interstate batteries hit the road fast with all the cranking power and reserve energy you need for even the worst curves in the weather. And Interstate has twice as many dealers than any other battery company in America, so you're never left stranded. For an Interstate battery dealer near you,
all you got to do, call 1-800-CRANK-IT. Get the power that goes on and on and on, yeah.
There's a new kind of cowboy out there. And that's why McDonald's is grilling up a whole new kind of steak, topped with onions, mushrooms, and a hearty steak sauce on a sourdough roll with a side of fries. And right now, it's a great McDonald's value you can't pass up. McDonald's new grilled steak sandwich. A new kind of steak for a new kind of cowboy.
You know when it's right. You know when you feel it, baby. You hold it, you hear it, you taste it, it's right. You got the right one, baby. It's this irrepressibly lovable, unsurpassably quotable, and intimately soulful. You got the right one, baby.
If after test driving a Sterling, you find another car with all of its standard features and appointments for $28,500 or less, we'll do more than congratulate you. We'll buy it for you.
Some of those shots provided by the MetLife blimp that's been helping us out all week. An interesting segue into Fred Edelstein. Sorry. We've been into, sorry, Freddie. We're good friends. We've been in Tampa all week, and obviously people are talking about a lot of things, and the local fans are wondering about the Buccaneers. Who will be the next Bucs coach? So you tell me it still could be Bill Walsh?
Very definitely, Chris. Bill Walsh is still very much alive in the Bucs situation. His agent, Steve Kay, has been talking to the Bucs, and he's been in constant touch with front office boss Phil Kruger, who is also a friend. Now, Walsh and Culverhouse, Hugh Culverhouse, the owner of the Bucs, had a brief phone conversation earlier this week, and they will meet sometime in the coming week. Now, I can tell you that a lot of assistant coaches around the NFL are hanging loose on this situation because they hope to join Walsh if he comes here to Tampa Bay.
Now, speaking of the 49ers, they were devastated after last week's tough loss, second loss to the Giants. What do you hear new with them?
Well, they're in a very nasty mood in light of what happened to them, and you're going to see significant changes next year. They're looking for an every down back because there are real doubts that Roger Craig can do it anymore, and they will revamp their defensive backfield and their offensive line.
Well, they always go Plan B shopping, and the shopping season begins on February 1st, within a week. Who might the 49ers be looking for?
Well, I hear the two big-name offensive linemen may be left unprotected. Washington's Mark May and a starter in Super Bowl today, Giants center Bardos.
All right, speaking of the Giants, that'd be interesting. Speaking of the Giants, question about Bill Parcells. Now, he does have 1 year to go on his contract after this, but there's been some talk that, and you've said it, that maybe Parcells might be leaving the Giants. What's the latest?
I can tell you there is serious concern in the Giants organization that Parcells will leave. He's been talking about it for a long time. Right now, I don't think he knows what he wants to do. I think he's going to make his decision in the next couple of days.
Freddie, do you think Parcells would leave over just money?
No, I don't think it's going to be money because the Giants would pay him money. What Bill Parcells has to do is make a decision on what he wants to do for the rest of his career. Does he want to work for Giants general manager George Young forever, or does he want to run his own show? If he decides that he wants to run his own show, then he'll probably leave now. Now, for those of you who say, well, this can't be, I would caution you to remember that Bill Parcells is the same guy who secretly accepted the Falcons job before Super Bowl 21, which caused a major mess with the Giants when they blocked the move in the days after the Super Bowl.
All right, well, we're jumping the gun here a little bit, but if he leaves, then who might coach the Giants?
The obvious guy would be Bill Belichick, the defensive coordinator of the team, but there are some in the organization who believe offensive assistant Ray Handley would be George Young's choice. Interestingly, Handley is leaving the Giants to go to law school after the season, but if he gets the head coaching job, he would stay.
All right, all this is speculation right now, but one thing we do know is new at the Super Bowl this year is that the MVP trophy is now the Pete Rozelle trophy. Pete, former commissioner, will be here to flip the coin to see who wins heads or tails and who gets the kickoff. But you have another note on the MVP.
That's right, Chris.
You're unbelievable, Fred.
That's right, Chris. You know, we're used to, after the game, the MVP saying, I'm going to Disney World. Well, this year there could be a change because Disney is working with the Defense Department, and the MVP after this game will probably be saying, I'm going to Saudi Arabia, because Disney is going to take this guy to the Persian Gulf to visit the troops.
And the hero of the Super Bowl then would go visit the real heroes over in Saudi Arabia. All right, Fred. Thanks for joining us once again.
This is exciting, isn't it?
Yes, we've had fun this week at the Super Bowl. We certainly have. When we return here on this edition of Game Day, the hero of the Bills, Jim Kelly, the added dimension that the Hoss brings to the Giants, magic moments throughout the Super Bowl. Please stay with us. We've got almost an hour left.
Ford profiles in quality, customer satisfaction.
Today we realize that quality's got to be #1.
I said that back in '82, and today it's truer than ever.
The looks attracted me, but the performance sold me.
After 2 years, it still shines like new.
We love hearing things like that. The only thing better than a Sable
is 2 Sables.
Our goal is to build the highest quality cars and trucks in the world.
At Ford Motor Company, quality is job one.
Who guarantees overnight air delivery before 10:30 to the most people coast to coast? Who did you think?
ESPN brings you coast-to-coast NCAA basketball. The action's outstanding. Everywhere you look, there's down-to-the-wire excitement.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable! Awesome, baby!
They played a thriller at the Dome. Now Connecticut wants revenge against Syracuse. Then surprising Iowa meets Illinois, and UNLV faces Utah State. Big Monday, live on ESPN. Rice versus Swan, Montana versus Bradshaw. The 89 49ers head-to-head against the 78 Steelers to determine football's greatest team ever. NFL Dream Bowl 2, Super Bowl Sunday on ESPN.
Welcome back to Harbor Island here in Tampa, the site of NFL GameDay. Tampa also happens to be hosting Super Bowl 25. We thought we'd throw that in, and we go to 1:30 Eastern Time this afternoon, so stay with us. The Super Bowl, with all the focus on one game, it's no wonder that David Bowie's song might apply here. We could be heroes if just for one day. Joe, I'm not sure really if you're a Bowie fan, but let's face it, the Super Bowl has definitely changed some players' lives, hasn't it?
It sure has, Chris. You know, for most guys, playing in a Super Bowl is a dream come true. But for others, this one game has been an entire career. Some of the greats of the game have stepped forward in Super Bowl competition, creating enduring images that live on in football legend. Some are brash, some are bold, but sometimes they come from nowhere. These players are not the superstars, but they have carved a niche in Super Bowl history. In the very first Super Bowl, Packer receiver Max McGee wasn't even supposed to play, but McGee came off the bench to catch 7 passes for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the first ever in the Super Bowl. All this while nursing the most famous hangover in NFL history.
The only thing anybody remembers Max McGee about a Super Bowl I, so that's kind of what comes back, you know, that I happened to be in the right place at the right time, you know, and as a result, they always got to go back and show that first touchdown because that was the first one.
Quarterback Doug Williams played 9 years of professional football without reaching the big game, but after winning the Redskins' starting job late in the 1987 season, he found himself the MVP of Super Bowl XXV. He threw for a record 340 yards and 4 touchdowns as the Redskins demolished the Broncos 42-10. In the same game, Williams' teammate Timmy Smith became a player who gained glory for one brief and shining moment. NFL history will record that his career was undistinguished. But on that day in January of 1988, Timmy Smith ran for 2 TDs and a Super Bowl record 204 yards. 4 years earlier in Super Bowl XVIII, a little-known Raider linebacker not only stepped into history, he stepped into my way.
If you could roll the tape, I'll show you how the play started. You can see Lyles giving a hard inside rush here, outside rush rather. I'm coming from the outside. I see Washington. I make a break on the ball, and right there, everything's happening so fast that nothing's really going through my mind, just elated, walking on cloud 9.
The Raiders beat the Redskins 38-9, and Jack Squire became a Sports Illustrated cover boy.
Thanks, Joe.
For some players, their moment in the sun may last for a single play. Such was the case for Dallas wide receiver Percy Howard. He caught only 1 pass in his entire career. This touchdown against the Steelers in Super Bowl X. Every kid dreams of winning the big game as the clock runs out. In 24 Super Bowls, it's only happened once. In Super Bowl V, Jim O'Brien kicked the Colts to victory over the Cowboys 16-13 with just 5 seconds remaining. His career would be over 4 years later, and his only notoriety would be a single moment in Super Bowl history.
It was like I was almost blind, deaf, and dumb. All I saw was the ball. I don't even remember seeing Earl Morrow hold it. I don't remember seeing the ground. I don't remember hearing any noise. And I just put my body on automatic and kicked it, and I was lucky enough, or as some people would say, or I was skilled enough, as others would say, to make it, and the rest is history.
It really does change a lot of folks' life. Thanks, Joe. As Squire said, I mean, when you got off the plane in Tampa this week, you had to have that sickening feeling of the last game you played here, right?
Chris, I want to tell you, it's like it was yesterday. I remember that moment. I remember standing on the sidelines talking to Joe Gibbs, and he said, I want you to run the rocket screen. I said, Coach, there's only 12 seconds to go in the half. I want you to run it. I started to walk out onto the field. I turned around. I said, you want me to run that? He said, run it. I walked out. I said, I don't like the sound of this thing. I put the ball in the air, and I went, oh, no. And then about a year later, I saw Coach Gibbs, and I said, you know, Joe, that was a terrible call. And he said, I know, Joe, but it was a horrible pass as well. He was right.
Sounds like we have a mutual admiration side with you and Joe.
You know, Chris, I tell you, just as this game can make a player, it can also ruin or at least put a damper on a player's career. As an example, Jackie Smith had an outstanding career with the Cardinals and then the Cowboys as a tight end. But what people remember him for, Super Bowl XIII, the drop pass in the end zone.
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe we'll only remember good things from today's game. Plenty around the bend here on this edition of Game Day. Jim Kelly, Bill Parcells, and LT. How America spends Super Bowl Sunday. But first, if you want to know how good the Bills or Giants have to be to get in the Super Bowl record books, here's a sampling. Can the high-powered Buffalo offense set a Super Bowl record for points scored? Sure, 51 points last week was impressive, but it's not as many as the 49ers scored last year in Super Bowl 24 against Denver, 55 points. In that blowout, Jerry Rice set a new record with 215 yards receiving and tied the Super Bowl mark with 11 catches, a record previously held by the Bengals' Dan Ross, set, ironically, against the Niners back in Super Bowl 16. The next time those two teams met in the Super Bowl, number 23, Joe Montana set the record for passing yards, 357. Whereas the next year, in the blowout of the Broncos, Montana wrote his name on yet another line in the record book with his 5 touchdown passes. But when it comes to passing accuracy, this year's sideline giant, Phil Simms, was nearly perfect in Super Bowl 21, going 22 of 25, a mere 88% against Denver. On the ground, nobody ground out more yards than the Redskins' Timmy Smith, who knifed the Broncos for 204 yards in Super Bowl 22. His running and Doug Williams' passing gave the Skins a record 602 yards in total offense in that game in San Diego. The fewest yards gained in a Super Bowl, Minnesota, Super Bowl IX against the Steelers, picked up only 119 yards. Only once has a team failed to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. That was the Miami Dolphins, who got only 3 points in Super Bowl VI against the Cowboys. The Doomsday defense was also in full force in Super Bowl XII, when they helped a former mate, Craig Morton, set a Super Bowl record for interceptions, 4. Morton also threw 3 as a member of the Cowboys against the Colts back in Super Bowl V.
We went to the fight capital of the world and asked the fans, who's the greatest heavyweight ever?
By far, it's Muhammad Ali.
Ripping punches, Muhammad Ali. The challenger goes down again.
Muhammad Ali.
Who's the heavyweight champion of the world?
Sports Illustrated presents Muhammad Ali, the video. See his pro debut, his fights with Liston, Foreman, Frazier, Spinks, and more. And the video is free with your paid subscription to SI.
Get it and find out who the greatest of all time is.
A short, jolting right to the jaw. Liston goes down.
The man, he jabbed, body danced.
He float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Keep the camera moving because I'm kind of fast. A sharp right and fully goes down.
It brought back memories, things I'd seen and hadn't seen. All the fights, all the interviews. Muhammad Ali, he took them all on.
Not in this one, Palomino. God's former Joe Frazier.
Naming the round and all that, people thought that was a fluke.
He wanted to go to heaven, so I took him himself.
You don't see boxers like that anymore.
And George Foreman goes down. Foreman goes down like a twist of lightning.
And the Muhammad Ali video is free.
That video's free? Can't be. How can it be free?
It's free when you subscribe to Sports Illustrated. Save over 50% off the cover price.
Oh, I'd go for it in a heartbeat. It's something to look into.
You'll get 23 issues, including the baseball preview and the swimsuit issue for 3 monthly installments of only $9.89. Or you can pay by credit card, so call now.
One of the greatest magazines that's been around this country since day one.
Kind of like Muhammad Ali, it gives you everything.
Come on, girl. We in Manila.
You relived great memories of the greatest champion ever.
To view the legend in the tape was fantastic.
People who never had seen Ali would love this tape.
Yes, I recommend it for anybody.
You can't walk away from this tape without being a Muhammad Ali fan.
I am the king of the world. Hold it. Hold it. You're not that pretty. I'm a bad man.
Call our toll-free number now and get knockout savings on Sports Illustrated and get the Muhammad Ali video free.
I shook up the world.
Sun starting to peek through the clouds here at Tampa. Our friends up in the MetLife Blimp have a closer view of it than we do. Welcome back to Super Bowl Game Day. The Giants' meal ticket to Super Bowl XXV has certainly been defense. And Tommy, Bill Parcells fully understands who served a lot of the meals.
Indeed he does, Chris. You know, because of the nature of business in the NFL, primarily the turnover in personnel of players and coaches, lasting relationships are hard to find. Such has not been the case when it comes to Bill Parcells and Lawrence Taylor. They have been the foundation of one of the NFL's most successful teams.
I think he's a fine coach, and I think he's a fine person. And we can relate to a lot of different things.
Since they arrived at the Meadowlands in 1981, the Giants have claimed 7 winning seasons, 2 NFC titles, and a Super Bowl championship.
He was not easy to coach. He was eager, but he wasn't easy. And I think that's where the relationship kind of developed.
As the Giants linebacker coach, Bill Parcells first met the unbridled #1 draft choice who was destined for stardom.
I think Bill allowed me to grow into not only a great athlete, but a good football player.
Lawrence Taylor's personality and Bill Parcells' personality are very much alike, and we both know that. We both know that. And sometimes that's led to very stormy conflicts.
When you would butt heads like that, what would it be over?
I don't know, we'd go over silly things. You're like, who bought the last beer? Hey, man, I bought the last beer. No, you didn't. You did. Stuff like that. And those silly things.
Rarely do player and coach share as special a relationship as Parcells and Taylor. The franchise player, the man in charge. They have risen to the top,
Their relationship has survived both stormy and triumphant moments.
I think we're both a little stubborn, and we're both determined to get what we want done, and we're a lot alike in that respect.
We both can be emotional at times. We both have our own way of doing things, and I think both of us have very strong personalities, and so when you put them together, we can't be fighting each other every day, so just want to be friends.
Together, they've seen a new and younger Giants team return to the Super Bowl. Both have grown a little older and a little wiser. Both have also begun to seriously contemplate the end of their careers.
I feel like, you know, I've seen all these players grow up into athletes and stuff like that, and football players, and being one of the older statesmen of the team, I feel like a guy has something to do with this, and these are my boys, and the most important thing, hell, I'll be going to Disney World.
Have you thought about what you're going to do after this?
Not yet. I will, though, and it's not an easy business now. I mean, it's right now, even this week, which should be the ultimate for, I can't say I'm having a lot of fun.
Do you love this job?
I love the game. I love the game. No, I don't love the job. I love the game, though.
I'm sure that Coach Parcells and LT have had more serious disagreements than who's going to buy the next beer. But Coach Bill told me this week that the one place they don't disagree is on the field on Sunday afternoons.
Tommy, it's very interesting when you see a coach and a linebacker have that kind of relationship. The more publicized relationships like that are Montana and Walsh, Marino and Shula, Theismann and Gibbs. But to see a linebacker and a coach have that really tells you where his place is on that football team.
You know, speaking of quarterbacks, Parcells may not have the same relationship with Jeff Hostetler that he has with Lawrence Taylor, but for a 3-hour span later on this evening, I think it's going to be a pretty important one.
It really is, Chris. You know, he was a jack of all trades and really the master of none. Now he's become the master of one. Jeff Hostetler really knows where his place is on this football team, and he has no false pretenses about it. The last time the Giants were in the Super Bowl, he was an outsider looking in. To get noticed, he would have to block a punt or run for a pass. Today, after 7 years, Jeff Hostetler becomes the center of attention.
It's the biggest game of my career. It's a Super Bowl. It's something that you shoot for, and I just haven't let the hype really get to me. You know, I'm really just trying to concentrate on you know, Buffalo Bills and making sure that mentally I'm prepared so that I can go out there and not make any mistakes mentally and just go out and try to perform.
Hostetler has learned many lessons during his career, but perhaps the most important, the value of persistence.
This was the first chance that opened itself up, and you know, it's a shame that it has to come that way, but you know, as a player, you know, you got to take it when the ball comes your way and run with it, and you know, basically that's what I'm trying to do.
Now, Hostetler not only has to crack the Buffalo defense, but he also has to control his dreams of being a hero and earning his own Super Bowl ring.
You know, I want to do everything I can to get that thing, and you know, when the time comes, and if we do get it, it'll have a special meaning.
When you check the records of Super Bowls past, there's one thing you have to keep in mind, is that there's been no backup quarterback as a starter that has ever won a Super Bowl.
Joe, Jeff Hostetler could be the first, and let's move that a year further. What happens next year? I think if he wins the Super Bowl today, I think Hostetler is the starter. I think Bill Parcells would have a hard time putting him on the bench and keeping him happy.
Tommy, again, I got to disagree with you. I do not believe that a guy who's been a starting quarterback like Phil Simms, who established a 10-2 record, and it has been the starter for a long time, can lose his job because of injury.
Well, there's no question in Buffalo who the #1 guy is. Obviously, it's Jim Kelly, though Frank Reich had played a very important role winning that Miami game in December. You know, Jim Kelly signed a big contract at the end of last year. A lot of guys, when they sign a big contract, they go south. Kelly has gone due north, I mean, in maturity, in attitude, and I think that's as big a reason as any for the Bills' success, Joe.
It really is, Chris. You know, it's been his leadership that have brought him to the threshold, and his football team to the threshold of greatness. Now, if the Bills go out and win Super Bowl 25, it'll be because of Jim Kelly, and he wouldn't have it any other way.
To be successful as far as the Buffalo Bills in this game, I'm going to have a good game because it's all on my shoulders, but the way I look at it, that's the way I want it.
He's as gifted as he is brash. He's Jim Kelly, the director of the NFL's most potent offense and the master of the cutting edge of it, the hurry-up. In a few hours, the Buffalo Buzzsaw will take its turn at cutting into the top-ranked defense in the NFL, the Giants.
Do you practice that during the week? I mean,
nope.
You don't practice? It's just a Sunday offense?
It's a Sunday offense. That's what people say. You mean you don't even practice no huddle? No, we don't. We practice variations of the plays, but we don't come out and practice, say, okay, we're going with a no huddle today and practice it. We do absolutely zero.
How many plays do you have to choose from?
Well, it started out with about, I'd say about 8. Now it's up to about 30. There's just so many things we can use. You can have one play, but from 6, 7 different formations, it looks like a different one.
In the hurry-up, everything hinges on the call at the line of scrimmage. On the field, when Kelly talks, everybody listens.
Good thing about our offense, we have keys where we can call dummy audibles in case the defense is looking for something, in which against the Raiders I had to use about 10 or 15 times, and so they can't always hear me saying something similar. We have dummy audibles, and it's pretty interesting because they try to listen to you at times, but they can't pick it up.
Last season, when the Bills were bickering, Kelly once questioned offensive coordinator Ted Marchibroda's play selection. Now, these two are on the same wavelength, and Marchibroda has turned Kelly loose.
It wasn't a major decision to allow him to call the football plays. People said, you're putting your faith, your career. This is the type of people, the type of a guy that you want to do that with. He's a Michael Jordan, a Magic Johnson, a Larry Bird. He wants the football in his hand at the end of the half, at the end of the 2 minutes. We're in a game. We can give him that control during the entire game, and that's what we're doing.
And what the Bills have done is create an offense in which all their talent is utilized during a game-long 2-minute drill.
Hey, they know we're going to throw the football, but they know we're going to run the football too. And that's what's so exciting about it. They got a tight end in the game that can run like a wide receiver. They got 3 great wideouts. You got Thurman Thompson in the backfield. It's your chance. You take the chance.
Jim Kelly's like that guy on the street corner with the 3 shells. He puts the pea under one, he moves it around, and you have to figure out where that pea is hidden. For the Giants this afternoon, it's going to be, where is that pea hidden?
It's a shell game, huh?
Yeah.
I think the Giants know a little bit about that shell game. They've had pretty good success finding the pea the last couple of weeks.
Well, you know who knows that is Jim Kelly. And one of the week's absurdities, I was a guest on the Jim Kelly TV show, and he was asking me what I thought about the game. And about the third question, I said, Jim, this isn't right here. You're playing it, and I'm just sitting here. But at any rate, one of the things that he said was, we know that maybe the first few series that we don't go anywhere against the Giants. They have the best defense. The Bills have gone, they've scored on 5 of their 7 first-half possessions in the playoffs, wins over Miami and the Raiders. He said, we've got to stay within ourselves and know that eventually we're going to break through. Not to panic, not to get out of that game plan if the Giants know which shell the pea is under. So Kelly is prepared not to score 40 or 50 points. So that may be one key to the Bills winning today. There are many from both sides of the ball, and we have our locksmiths, Tom and Joe, to unlock those doors as we continue on our Super Bowl game day coverage here at Tampa. We'll also look back at some magical moments from the Super Bowl's first 24 years, and of course, our fearless predictions. Stay with us, please.
Rent-A-Vision presents Smokin' Joe Frazier versus Sharp TV. Joe controls the ring. You control the Sharp TV. Smokin' Joe is always ready. Sharp is cable ready. And just $13.99 a week, rent to own. With no down payment, no credit check, early payoff option, plus free delivery and warranty service.
Nobody beats Rent-A-Vision. Make your house a home with Rent-A-Vision.
One of the most profitable accessories you can add to a 4-wheel drive truck is a snowplow. TW Truck Equippers is the largest area dealer of snowplows and snow removal equipment. From today's downsized 4-wheel drive trucks to commercial plowers. TW Equippers and Western combine to provide snowplows and accessories to fit not only the truck, but the job to be done. Western, they plow tough because they're built tough. Available at TW Truck Equippers, your complete source for all your truck body and equipment needs.
The big sombrero, Tampa Stadium. Kickoff a little more than 5 hours away between the Bills and the Giants. When you were growing up, didn't you hate at all the holidays and all your aunts and uncles and all the grandparents said, my, how you've grown? I don't think the NFL hates it when you say about the Super Bowl, my, how you've grown. Andrea Kramer back out at the stadium. And Andrea, certainly what a difference 25 years makes.
It does indeed, Chris. I don't know if bigger is necessarily better, but the game has become such a corporate entertainment vehicle. You look across the street, there are 400,000 square feet of tents. It's the largest tent village they've ever had at a Super Bowl. So when you use the words impact player, you don't just talk about maybe a star of the game, but about all the advertising heavyweights who are making their biggest mark probably today on Super Bowl Sunday, because the silver anniversary is a gold mine on the economic front. That annual ritual, also known as Super Sunday, doesn't just showcase the top two teams in professional football, it also shows off the host city to the world. The economic impact of throwing the largest party in sports is quite substantial, and its worth to the Tampa area has grown by nearly $40 million since it last played host in 1984.
I would say that the economic impact, of course, is a great reason for having a game, but not the only reason. We need to stress that it is a weekend event, and there are direct implications to the community, basically in the areas of restaurants and hotels and in local transportation. However, there's a trickle-down effect that is felt many months after the game that goes into the community in all areas of the walks of life.
Unfortunately, people in all walks of life might not be able to afford a ticket to the game, which has risen from $12 at the first Super Bowl to $150 for the 25th edition, making it the hottest single commodity in sports. Even the cost of a souvenir game program has grown tenfold. Yet the players' cut of the action has not increased as dramatically, since the current paycheck is just more than double what it was for the first 11 Super Bowls. The exposure from the Super Bowl is literally out of this world, as it's broadcast to 50 countries, and an estimated 750 million people worldwide will watch the game live or in tape delay. 8 Super Bowls rank among the 14 highest-rated TV shows of all time. Now, this year, ABC Sports will televise the game using 22 cameras, a far cry from 1967 when both CBS and NBC televised the first Super Bowl. At that time, the marriage between football and television was still in its courting stage, and the second half began with NBC still on a commercial break.
They kicked off, and since our Red Hat hadn't signaled we were back, they kicked off again, and NBC was okay. Now, the NFL has said to this day that the official never signaled for the first kickoff, but I don't know about that.
The unshakable drawing power of the Super Bowl may be most evident in the soaring price of commercials. A 30-second spot that cost $40,000 in 1967 goes for $802,000 now, and ABC will bring in about $45 million in revenues from 28 minutes of network commercials. We've been talking off the field. Now let's turn one more time to an on-the-field matter, literally on the field. Between the halftime rehearsal on Friday and the Giants walkthrough that was here at Tampa Stadium on Saturday, the center of the field was completely torn up. So George Toma, the NFL head groundskeeper, and his staff worked overnight. They had to resod the center of the field. It had to be repainted twice. And Toma said that if it rains, which unfortunately remains a possibility, that field could get very slick. So Chris, it sort of conjures up memories of 2 years ago, Joe Robbie Stadium, when field conditions were not exactly ideal.
All right, Andrew, we will see, but right now the sun peeking through, so maybe that 30% chance of rain will not happen. Thanks, and we'll see you on primetime tonight. We have more on this edition of Game Day, but first, if you're going to stick with us here on ESPN this afternoon following the conclusion of Game Day, there's more football coming your way. Here's what's on ESPN later today. Coming up after Game Day, ESPN continues to look back at past Super Bowls. At 1:30 at Super Bowl 21, the Giants and the Broncos. At 2 o'clock, the Broncos lose again at Super Bowl 22 to the Redskins. At 2:30, NFL Films presents Super Bowl 25 matchup. At 3 Eastern Time, it's Dream Bowl 2. The 78 Steelers beat the 89 49ers. Which quarterback with 4 Super Bowl rings, Terry Bradshaw or Joe Montana, will win Dream Bowl 2? At 4 o'clock, Super Bowl 23, the Niners against the Bengals. And at 4:30, Tommy, the Broncos lose again. Super Bowl 24 to the 49ers. Prime time tonight. Don't forget, an hour, 11 p.m. Eastern Time.
Ford profiles in quality, vision.
Quality of the glass that goes into our cars is so important, we make it ourselves.
No other car company in the world does that.
Ford glass has to pass over 110 quality inspections. Our people check it, our lasers check it, our robots check it.
Our glass is so good, it not only goes into our cars, many other automakers put it in their cars.
Our goal is to build the highest quality cars and trucks in the world.
At Ford Motor Company, quality is job one.
Why does a man have to do what a man has to do?
2, 3, 4.
Try Bud Dry. Cold filtered for smooth draft taste. Dry brewed for no aftertaste. Refreshing proof that men still know what they're doing.
Who guarantees overnight air delivery before 10:30 to more businesses than anyone else in the business? Who did you think?
Welcome back to Game Day as it continues from Harbor Island here in Tampa as we sit on yet another dock on yet another bay. Had to get that in once. This is the Silver Anniversary Super Bowl, a game filled with lasting memories. One of the facts about our Dan Patrick that you may not know is that he once was a member of the band Jay and the Americans. Maybe that explains why he joins us now singing This Magic Moment. Dan?
Thank you, Chris. I don't have my Jay and the Americans Rolodex out, so I can't come up with another song to answer you with. I do know that the Super Bowl wasn't initially called that. It wasn't until 1970 when the Chiefs met the Vikings, but the previous three were called the AFL NFL Championship game because at the time, the commissioner of the NFL, Pete Rozelle, said, well, the Super Bowl sounds just too corny as a name. What it turned out to be was the precursor for America's love affair with big-time sporting events. It has become a cultural holiday where the game seems almost secondary to the event itself, a game dwarfed by the hype surrounding it. And while most of us can't recall the scores of past Super Bowls, we can't erase certain images from those games. Joe Namath thrusting his index finger towards the sky, the grace of a swan in midair, a legend being honored at the height of his career, or a refrigerator full of beef barreling into our living rooms. If a player is going to give the performance of his life, what better mantle to use than the one viewed by over 100 million people? After an underappreciated career, Phil Simms became an overnight legend as he turned in the most accurate day in Super Bowl history. Terry Bradshaw dispelled the myth of being a dumb quarterback with his 4 Super Bowl titles. Joe Montana has used this spotlight to elevate his status to being labeled the best to ever play at this position. Of the 13 different quarterbacks to win Super Bowls, 7 are in the Hall of Fame, while Montana is waiting for the door to be opened. Joe Namath earned his trip to Canton with his guaranteed win in Super Bowl III. The country was undergoing a turbulent time with anti-war activists protesting America's involvement in Vietnam. At the same time, a brash and cocky Namath took on the NFL's establishment, the Baltimore Colts, and made good on his promise. But the Super Bowl has also been cruel to our heroes. Fran Tarkington failed in his 4 tries. Tarkington, along with teammate Alan Page, are the only members of the great Minnesota teams to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. The rest of their teammates can't shake the loser label. Perennial All-Pro Jackie Smith will forever be known as the receiver who dropped Roger Staubach's TD toss in the 4-point loss to the Steelers. Dan Reeves has not only been on the losing end of Super Bowls as a coach, he also felt defeat as a player. He was unable to come up with this pass in the closing minutes of Super Bowl V. The interception led to Jim O'Brien's game-winning field goal. Entire cities have been shaken by the loser label. Second best is not good enough for Denver and Minneapolis. They've been a combined 0 for 8 in Super Bowls. And while these two have suffered the agony, Pittsburgh has enjoyed the ecstasy. The bad times and bad teams of previous years became a distant memory with their 4 Super Bowl titles. A feeling the 1979 world champion Pirates couldn't come close to matching. The Super Bowl has also provided rejuvenation. Jim Plunkett's career received a blast of new life with his MVP performance against the Eagles. This event has also allowed for redemption. Larry Zonka fumbled the first time he carried the ball in Super Bowl VI. 2 years later, he carried the Dolphins to a convincing win over the Vikings. The event is big enough to invite play suggestions from a president, as Richard Nixon did to the Redskins against the Dolphins. Players have used this event's limelight to take center stage. Names like Hollywood Henderson, Jim McMahon, Dexter Manley, and the silent Dwayne Thomas, who displayed his rare gift of gab by saying, if this is supposed to be the ultimate game, then why will they play it again next year? The Super Bowl has been almost all talk and little action, but America doesn't seem to mind, provided we can store up yet another memory. I think all of us have memories growing up watching our first Super Bowl. I remember Super Bowl IV, 1970, the Chiefs and the Vikings. I was a big Chief fan, and my mom said, all right, you can watch the game, but you got to shovel the driveway, get the snow off there. I said, when the Vikings have the ball, I'll go out and shovel the snow. Chiefs dominated that day, had the ball all afternoon long. I think there's still snow on that driveway. And Chris, can I sit on the set next year with you guys? I feel alone out here.
Well, I have connections here, Dan.
Thanks.
We'll see what we can do. You know, I also remember that Super Bowl IV so clearly. Was that we were Jets season ticket holders. This is the last game of the AFL. And my brother, my younger brother Andy, we kind of like the Vikings a little bit. Says, I think I'm going to root for the Vikings today. I gave a speech that was better than the Gettysburg Address to him. You can't root against the AFL. There's no way you can do that. He said, you're right. Let's go Chiefs. And the Chiefs won. Obviously, the year before was kind of big for us, too.
Chris, I was a big fan of the AFL because they had the major scoring that the NFL didn't. Biggest thrill for me was watching Joe Namath and the underdog Jets beating the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III.
Yep, and I remember going to homeroom the next day in 8th grade. I had the white shoes on. Everybody, I think, wore white shoes the next day from that game. So AFL teams, the original AFLs, leaving their mark in the Super Bowl, right, Fred? That's what you remember?
Well, Chris, I remember being in the Raiders locker room after Super Bowl 15 when they beat the Eagles, and Pete Rozelle had to hand the trophy over to Al Davis. It was a very tense moment for Rozelle. He was like an enemy in occupied territory. Well, as he was walking out, I was standing right behind him. Mickey Marvin, the Raiders guard, stopped him, tapped him on the shoulder. Their eyes met, and Marvin said, hey, Commissioner, not everybody here hates you.
Yeah, he found one friend there. Joe, you have a different memory.
Yeah, I really do. In 1971, I was drafted by the Miami Dolphins. I chose to go to Toronto, play with the Toronto Argonauts, a Canadian Football League. 1972, Super Bowl VII, the Miami Dolphins and the Washington Redskins played in Pasadena, California. I'll never forget sitting in my living room watching that game thinking I could have been a part of that.
Dripped with irony because you should have been a Dolphin. Later, you played on the Redskins that beat the Dolphins a decade later. So, the Super Bowl, we all remember, and everybody in America makes plans on where to go. We'll have that story. Joe and Tommy with the keys to the game in a moment.
There's a new kind of cowboy out there. And that's why McDonald's is grilling up a whole new kind of steak, topped with onions, mushrooms, and a hearty steak sauce on a sourdough roll with a side of fries. And right now, it's a great McDonald's value you can't pass up. McDonald's new grilled steak sandwich, a new kind of steak for a new kind of cowboy.
You know when it's right, you know when you feel it, baby. You hold it, you hear it, you taste it, it's right. You got the right one, baby. It's this irrepressibly lovable, unsurpassably callable, and intimately soulful. You got the right one, baby.
1985, 86, 87, 88. 89. For 6 straight years, the full-size pickup from GMC Truck has retained more of its original value than any other in America. That's why sales of the Sierra are growing faster than any other full-size pickup. And we intend to keep it that way in 1991 with these new Sierras. And in 92, GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore. It's quality on the road.
The HBO Comedy Hour brings you the different world of Sinbad, taped live at Morehouse College.
You learn how to wash clothes different in college. At home, you have colors and delicates. College, dirty. This pile is dirty. This pile is funky. You cannot finish a shake from McDonald's. Gave you that little old straw to mess with you. You be sitting there and that big vein come out in your forehead.
Sinbad, brain damage. This month on the HBO Comedy Hour.
Back on Super Bowl game day here in Tampa, we've assembled a heck of a coaching staff here. Joe Theismann, offensive coordinator. Tom Jackson, defensive coordinator. Tell me about the ball game.
Coordinator's gotten for a discount, as it were. Chris, I think in order for the Bills to win, you have three keys. First, they have to run Thurman Thomas, I think, and put the Giants back on their heels. Allow Jim Kelly to get into that passing game of his. Secondly, they have to stop the Giants' run game, not because of the yardage gain, but because of the time that they will use up on the clock. And once you put Hostetler into a passing mode, I think you have to figure out a way to contain him.
Coach Jackson, I agree with you, particularly with your third choice of containing Hostetler. Jeff Hostetler is going to break, contain, scramble around like he did here against the 49ers and find Mark Bavaro. Now, here's a guy who we haven't heard a lot about, but seems to come up with big play after big play. They're going to have to stop him from making his big ones. Of course, Kelly's completion percentage, he's definitely going to have to complete at least 65%, figuring the Giants will stop the running game, and they got to keep the turnovers down to a minimum, maybe one at best, because if the Buffalo Bills put the ball on the ground, the Giants are going to go out there for 6-7 minutes, and they'll never get out there to put any points on the board again.
Now, Joe, for the Giants to win, I think you go just the opposite direction. First of all, you try to figure out a way to stop Thurman Thomas. I think if you can do that, you're going to put a lot of pressure on Kelly. Maybe you can blitz him a little bit. Secondly, you have to pressure Kelly. That means Eric Howard and Leonard Marshall have to get pressure in his face, get your hands in his face. Don't allow him to throw the short crossing patterns, and then control the football, because when you control the ball, you control the clock.
Yeah, so defensive coordinator, that's three. I got three more for you. Tackling is going to be very important. The Giants are going to allow the Bills to complete passes, but what they want to do is they don't want them running down the field. They'll let them catch 5 or 6 yard passes, and then they're going to smash them. The second thing is Lawrence Taylor has got to be a dominant factor, not only in pass rushing on Kelly, but in making plays in the backfield, stopping the running game, and they cannot get into 3rd and long situations. They can't leave Hostetler back there just to allow the Bills pass rush to tee off and come after him. So I think all of them are very, very important parts of how the Giants have a chance to win. And, of course, we look at it on the other side as the Bills have a chance to win.
So that's it. I mean, why did Marv have to miss photo day? You guys did that in about 3 minutes. I don't understand it. You guys are hired. I'll just stick to helmet cap. When we return, predictions and the phenomenon known as Super Bowl Sunday. Stay with us, please.
Went to the fight capital of the world and asked the fans, who's the greatest heavyweight ever?
By far, it's Muhammad Ali.
Ripping punches, Muhammad Ali. The challenger goes down again.
Muhammad Ali.
Who's the heavyweight champion of the world?
Sports Illustrated presents Muhammad Ali, the video. See his pro debut, his fights with Liston, Foreman, Frazier, Spinks, and more. And the video is free with your paid subscription to SI.
Get it and find out who the greatest of all time is.
A short, choosing right to the jaw. Liston goes down.
The man, he jabbed, fought, he danced.
He float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Keep the camera moving because I'm kind of fast. A sharp right and only goes down.
It brought back memories, things I'd seen and hadn't seen. All the fights, all the interviews. Muhammad Ali, he took them all on.
Not in this one, Palomino. God's former Joe Frazier.
Naming the round and all that. People thought that was a fluke.
He wanted to go to heaven, so I took him himself.
You don't see boxers like that anymore.
And George Foreman goes down. Foreman goes down like a tree struck by lightning.
And the Muhammad Ali video is free.
That video's free? Can't be. How can it be free?
It's free when you subscribe to Sports Illustrated. Save over 50% off the cover price.
Oh, I'd go for it in a heartbeat.
It's something to look into.
You'll get 23 issues, including the baseball preview and the swimsuit issue for 3 monthly installments of only $9.89. Or you can pay by credit card, so call now.
One of the greatest magazines that's been around this country since day one.
Kind of like Muhammad Ali, it gives you everything.
Come on, girl. We in Manila.
You lived great memories of the greatest champion ever.
To view the legend in the tape was fantastic.
People who never had seen Ali would love this tape.
Yes, I recommend it for anybody.
You can't walk away from this tape without being a Muhammad Ali fan.
I'm the king of the world. Hold it. You're not that free. I'm a bad man.
Call our toll-free number now and get knockout savings on Sports Illustrated and get the Muhammad Ali video free.
I shook up the world.
know you've heard it a couple of times, and we've been here all week. It seems like a month. The folks at MetLife providing the shots from the blimp, and the folks here at Harbor Island allowing us to do our show so easily out here. We'd like to thank them both for really what's been a nice week here in Tampa. Today is the Super Bowl's 25th birthday, and just as we do in real life, we annually have a birthday party. Just as we do for Christmas, maybe New Year's Eve, and Thanksgiving, all of us have definite plans on Super Bowl Sunday. This year, of course, there is restraint because of the war going on in the Persian Gulf. Here in Tampa, as we showed you earlier, there's very tight security. The Commissioner's Party, the annual Big Bash here at Super Bowl week, that was canceled Friday night. Things were toned down a bit. But still later this afternoon and tonight, America will gather in front of its television sets to watch Super Bowl 25. Jimmy Roberts is in New York with more.
Well, Chris, today here in New York, they estimate that some 11 million people should be watching the game between the Giants and the Bills. Nationwide, that number is something closer to 115 million people. Now, needless to say, that's a lot of people. Actually, it's most of this country, if you think about it, seated in front of their television sets, watching a football game. But is the ritual the same in, say, Albany, Georgia, as it is in Albany, New York? Well, we wanted to know. So a year ago this week, we took a little road trip. We went coast to coast and then some. We were looking for a family portrait of America on this truly American day. A snapshot. Here's what we found. All in one day. All in one country. All because of one game. We watch in living rooms, even bathrooms. The simple people in Titletown and the beautiful people in Tinseltown.
Predictions, who's going to win?
49ers. I'm in great fan of the 49ers. Oh, yeah.
A celebration, a capitalistic frenzy. What could be more American?
It's been said that Super Bowl Sunday is now the second leading social holiday we Americans celebrate. That's second only to Thanksgiving.
It is the day when those consumed by their sport flaunt their eccentricities.
When my husband died, I had to send in a death certificate to get his tickets, to get his seats in Giant Stadium.
From New York to Chicago to Hawaii, in just about any big city you go, this one day has become an American obsession. But how does the other America celebrate this national holiday, this Super Sunday? Well, we wanted to know. So we came here to a place that some people call Middle America and other people just call the middle of nowhere. Here to Wymore, Nebraska. This is a town where touch tone is still a thing of the future, where a house goes for about $7,000 and a cheeseburger 90 cents down at the Blue Bonnet Cafe. The action on Super Sunday is over at the A&N. The game's the thing for almost everyone.
I don't care about football. I just come here to drink beer.
But that is apparently a minority opinion in this town of 1,600, where football is almost as important as religion. There are 9 churches here, and the Sunday youth group this day takes on a special look.
Quarterback pass.
Quarterback draw. Oh. They say that the best meal in town is down at the Legion Hall, where the dress code is strict, and the veterans love their football.
You know, that's what we're doing tonight.
Well, especially on a Sunday, there isn't anything else to do with a small town.
Yeah.
Watch football.
And watch us watch them watching football. The 109-year-old Wymore Arbor State didn't send a reporter to the big game. Wymore and the Super Bowl just don't seem to combine for much news.
Yeah, I think anyway, it's never been held here. They're still trying. But
If it ever is, Arbor State Park on the north end of town, seating capacity about 300, will likely be the site. That's where the Southern High School Raiders play. But late in January, the coaching staff is busy watching the Super Bowl.
I think Nebraska's pretty much a football state, and I think there's probably a lot of people in small towns across the state getting together just like we are today.
And the country as well. You might not always agree with their perspective here in Wymore, but on this one day in America, it pretty much looks and tastes the same as everywhere else. From New York to Los Angeles, Hawaii to Green Bay, all in one country, all because of one game, all in one day. I'm Jimmy Roberts for NFL GameDay.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. And for all you out there, really enjoy the Super Bowl Sunday. It's just for fun. That's what it's all about, wherever you may be. When we return, we'll give it up. It's time for some predictions. Stay with us, please.
For the past 25 years, there has been a dealership on the Transit Road Strip in Amherst that consistently has given its customers the best it has to offer. Transitown Auto Mall. With quality service to assist your automotive needs to a super selection of automobiles, Transitown has been there to satisfy you, the customer, for today and tomorrow. It's time for you to come out to see the fine collection of new and reconditioned automobiles at Transitown Auto Mall, across from the Eastern Hills Mall, Amherst.
Want a slice of pizza?
Hey, me too. Nothing's better than a fresh, hot Pizza Hut pizza, and nothing's worse than not having enough. With loads of your favorite toppings and 2 layers of cheese, one's never enough.
Ready for the second pizza?
Pizza Hut, making it great. Rank Boxing on ESPN, where champions are made. Grab a ringside seat for the greatest night of boxing this year, the night of the heavyweights. Francesco Damiani defends his world championship against merciless Ray Mercer, plus contenders Tommy Duke Morrison, James Quick Tillis, Bruce Seldon, and Jose Ribalta. A very special Top Rank Boxing Sunday night on ESPN.
NFL Game Day Super Bowl Special has been brought to you by GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore. By HBO, simply the best. And by UPS, now offering 10:30 a.m. guaranteed overnight air delivery.
We have reached that moment of truth on NFL Game Day as Meatloaf once sang, "What's it going to be, boy? Yes or no?" Who's it going to be, boy? The Giants or the Buffalo Bills? Or maybe, Tommy, they sang out here yesterday, the Temptations. Who's the keeper of the castle?
Well, my dad always taught me that the keeper of the castle was the team that brings the most defense, and I got to believe that's the New York Football Giants. Giants 19, Bills 17.
Defense, defense, defense. That's all you ever talk about, Tommy. This is a football game that's going to be owned by the offense. Thurman Thomas is going to account for 150 yards of total offense. It's going to be the Bills, 27-24.
In a spirit of friendship, we've allowed Fred to give us a shot. Go ahead. What is it?
I see the Giants upsetting these guys 23-13.
Wrong again, Fred. I see the Bills winning 23-13. The irresistible force will beat the immovable object. Bills defense better than the Giants offense. Let's put it that way. Bruce Smith. Can you say Bruce Smith?
Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith. Very good. It'll be Buffalo 23-13, but you knew which way I had to go. We hope that you have enjoyed this edition of ESPN's NFL Game Day. There's the scene of Super Bowl 25, where they'll kick it off in less than 5 hours. At 11 o'clock tonight, Eastern Time, we'll be by for our full hour edition of Prime Time. We'll have highlights, all the comments of the players, a conversation Sunday night with Walter Payton. For Tommy, for Joe, for Fred, for Pete, for Dan, for Andrea, for Dick, for Jimmy, for even me, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back to the Super Bowl Moments, an NFL Films presentation hosted by Steve Sabo. Next, Super Bowl 21. I'm Dick Chapman.